Alright, though, so this is kind of a continuation of the Greg Trimble 2. I broke it up into 2A on the Mormon Truth video channel here, and because it was kind of a revamping of the second one I had on Dodger Game. So I split this up here, so this is 2B, Greg Trimble, Book of Mormon Challenge for his blog. And let's continue on with the massive contradictions throughout the Book of Mormon, despite Greg's inability to admit that that's the case. Oh, okay. Sorry, Greg. Maybe you didn't read your scriptures. Okay. Maybe we'll go to one of those pages, but I'll ad-lib just a little bit more. Okay. There's some ridiculous contradictions. Well, we've got he preaches the Trinity in there. I don't think I'm going to do that one in this video. We've already done that. You know, not to mention, the Book of Mormon's been changed to say, Mary was the mother of the Son of God instead of the mother of God, and all kinds of things that are similar to that. Right there in Ether, chapter 3, verse 14, he tells Ether, "My name is Jesus Christ. I am the Father and the Son." And if you can find an excuse on that one, where it says was it like Alma chapter 40 or something? Amalek's talking. He says, the Son of, he said, God comes down among us in the flesh Himself. And so in Luke chapter 10 verse 22, Joseph Smith's translation turns it into something Trinitarian in the Bible, where he says that Jesus reveals to people that He is the Father and the Father is the Son. Good grief. Yeah, the Bible doesn't really seem to teach the Trinitarian viewpoint, but now it does when Joseph Smith got to it. How about 2 Nephi chapter 5, where the Lamanites get cursed with the skin of blackness, that the race and priesthood says is not a sign of divine disfavor, contradicting the scriptures which they refuse to use. Yeah, well, that also in there, just for fun, it says, I built a temple like the Temple of Solomon. And he said, in one verse he says, we had gold and silver and all these precious things. And then he goes, man, we built the temple like the Temple of Solomon, except for we didn't use so many precious things because they weren't to be found. The verse after he just said they were abundant. It's so ridiculous. It's not. It's. I mean, he couldn't make it any easier. Anyway, like I said, we could go look at one page that points out tons of the contradictions in the Book of Mormon, on an unreliable page like, how about the ridiculousness of the story? Okay, so Lehi and his family, he's persecuted for declaring the word of the Lord, so they decide to all leave. So they pack up, and it says they take a 3-day journey into the wilderness, and in 3 days they're within the borders of the Red Sea. Well, if you take a look at Google Maps, for instance, the Red Sea is like about 250 miles from Jerusalem, which it says they left from. Well, maybe the borders are near like some one of those tributaries. Well, that's like about 150 miles or 120 or 30 miles. So let's say it's 135 miles away in 3 days. That's 45 miles a day. And they have men, women, older people, younger people, provisions, tents. Maybe they had really fast, camels or something. Then Lehi tells the boys to go back to get the records from Laban. So what are they? Okay, thanks. We'll just walk like 150 miles through, the wilderness back there. Oh, okay. And so then Nephi, they get kicked out and they chase him. Somehow the guy miraculously escaped from Laman's guards. And then we've got Nephi creeps into the city at night, led by the Spirit. Then he sees Laban. Why, he's drunk on the ground, but he can recognize it's Laban. It's such a bright night, actually, that he can see that his sword is made of steel and that the hilt thereof is made of pure gold. At night. Okay, people can't tell pure gold in the day sometimes. They bite it, they test it. But he can tell at night. He can tell. And then, it's so bright out there, he can tell all this. And then he chops the guy's head off in this super bright night. chops his head off, and the guy's drunk. The alcohol's been thinning his blood. Blood should be everywhere, but somehow it doesn't get on Laban's clothing. And so Nephi puts on his clothing, yea, every whit. I really don't want to get into the details of that. So what, did he put everything on over his clothes, or did he, strip off his clothes in an area that he just happened to find him on walking the streets of Jerusalem that's so bright he can see that the hilt of his sword is pure gold and the rest of it's steel, which supposedly didn't even exist in those days. So they get that, and then they walk all the way back to the Red Sea again, or to the borders by it, at least 150 miles probably. Completely ridiculous. And then his dad says, hey, you better go back for some girls. Hadn't thought of that. Or I've had a revelation. Okay, Dad, we'll be happy to walk back another 150 miles. Have you ever, walked 15 miles in a day? You try doing that, again and again and again. Then you go back there. Wouldn't there be, wanted dead or alive posters out for him? Laban's like the big man in town. And he's missing with his head chopped off, right? And the scriptures are missing. These guys kidnapped his servant. I mean, sure. That would make so much sense. And then the brethren and the sisters and everybody hit the like button and subscribe button and commented, said all sorts of profound things about gnarly Greg and the Book of Mormon that never contradicts itself. In the name of the Age of Reason, in honor of Thomas Paine, amen. This has been another presentation on the Dodger Game channel of Mormon Truth videos. Let me quote the prophet Jacob from the Book of Mormon, who somehow and very anachronistically spoke French, and said, "Brethren, adieu."
Well, alrighty then.